if you want to play guitar with feel, there are a few things to focus on: groove, dynamics, and emotion. Let's start with groove. All right, the first key to playing with groove, I'm going to show you the difference here. This first strum is going to be very tense, very robotic. Okay, there's going to be a lot of tension in the arm, and it will sound something like this. So you can hear how it sounds, right? It's very kind of sharp stabbing motions. There's no kind of dynamics to it. It's very, a lot of tension in the arm. I'm also going to show you how it sounds if I awkwardly kind of stop halfway through, right? So I'll change chord, but my strumming hand is going to stop. This is how it would sound like. So you can hear that too. If I stop my strumming hand, the groove automatically dies. There's no flowing motion with it. It's very hard to recover from that, right? So now I'm going to show you what it sounds like with a relaxed kind of groove, a relaxed strumming hand. Very little tension in the arm, no tension in the arm whatsoever actually. And it's just going to be a smooth kind of pendulum strumming hand, basically. So the secret here is that the strumming hand never stops, guys, right? You got to think of it like a pendulum, always swinging up and down, but also keeping the hand very relaxed, right? If you're tense, you're going to sound robotic. If you stop, the groove just collapses. But if you keep it moving and it's relaxed, that's when you get the real flow. So the real feel that we're searching for comes from a couple of things, in my opinion. A nice, loose, relaxed strumming hand, okay, with no tension at all. And it's super important to also stay in time with the beat, all right? Locking into the groove and locking into that beat. And a couple of things you could do there is tap your foot along while you're playing, but also count out loud if you need to as well. And if you want to start adding some extra flavor to that too, you can start adding some mute strums, all right? So mute strums is when you hit the strings at the same time while you're muting the strings with your palm. And you want to use the inside of your palm here. And you basically, when you're coming down for the strum, your palm gets in the way, right? And it gives it that kind of percussive kind of sound, right? It's kind of got this drum-like sound to it. And this works particularly well when you're performing by yourself and you just want things to sound a bit more full and rhythmic. Okay, I'll give you a quick demonstration on how that sounds now. So you can hear by adding those mute strums, it kind of gives it a much more kind of rhythmical flavor to it. You know, you'll find a lot of people kind of want to bop their head and tap their foot to it because, you know, you're replicating a snare drum there on the 2 and 4. So I play a lot of mute strums in my performing all the time. It just naturally happens with that drumming background that I have. But it's really cool for you to kind of practice it and just start incorporating it into your own songs over time, okay? So try not to overcomplicate it too much, guys. All I can recommend is that, look, you really want to keep that strumming hand moving all the time. Really keep it relaxed as much as possible and lock into the time. And that's what will give you more groove. So the second key to feel, and probably the most important to be honest, is dynamics, right? And that's basically just your volume, how loud and softly you're playing the strings. It's just like talking, really, right? You don't say everything at the same volume, right? You whisper some, you're louder on others, and that's what makes it interesting, and that's what creates dynamics. So if every strum was the same, it would just sound very, very flat and no movement at all, and this is how it will kind of sound. you mix some soft and loud kind of touches to it, suddenly it has life, and this is how it would sound. So there's a couple of things to notice there. Firstly, I'm not strumming all the strings at the same time, right? I'm being very delicate where I place the pick. Okay, I'm letting that G note just ring out for a lot of it, and we're coming down and attacking the bottom strings here, right? I'm not coming in being aggressive with every kind of stroke, right? So while you implement all these strategies, this is exactly what creates that feel, right? Creates that dynamics, because you're giving the chord room to breathe. And it makes it sound much more musical, basically. So one of the best ways to practice dynamics is to just mess around with volume, right? Play some louder strums, play some softer strums. You could just sit on one chord and really experiment, right? And get familiar with coming in on different strings. You know, that's huge for dynamics, right? Let that kind of low string just ring out, right? Then mess around with the top strings and just let it all kind of create this kind of feeling. So the more you experiment with loud versus soft, you know, high versus low strings, the more control you're going to have. And that's when your playing starts becoming much more musical and not just mechanical. So the last key to playing with feel is emotion, right? So groove makes it flow, dynamics gives it life, but emotion is what actually makes people feel something when they hear you play. All right, you don't need theory for this. All you have to do is to connect how you're feeling to the guitar. And I know this might sound a bit woo-woo, but I'm going to give you an example right now. So I'm going to play a classic 4-chord loop here, and I'm going to try to generate a bit of a kind of sad, like reflective emotion to it. And then I'll play that same chord progression, but I'll hopefully generate a different emotion with it, okay? So this will be the first one. Nice and sad. Alright. You can hear that, bit of a sad kind of feeling to it. Just makes me want to put some lyrics over the top. My girl left me, she took the dog and the TV too. Cried on my coffee, then I spilt it on my shoes. So I'm going to play the same chord progression here, and it's going to be strummed very differently. It's going to have a lot of energy behind it, hopefully create a bit of a happy feeling. It's going to be played louder, a little bit faster, and have a bit of bounce to it. I'm also going to have some mute strums in there to give it that kind of percussive flavor to it. And hopefully it generates a new emotion for you while I play. So here we go. Let's put some lyrics over the top of this one. Here we go. I got a pet goldfish that thinks he's a shark. He swims in circles while I strum in the dark. Okay, that's enough, Andy. So see how the same chords can tell a totally different story depending on how you play them, right? So that's emotion. So generally, if you're relaxed, you strum a little bit lighter, right? If you're quite passionate and you're a bit angry, you might want to dig in a little bit harder, right? If you're telling a sad story, you might let the notes ring out a little bit longer. Right? The real secret is play how you feel. And if you play how you feel, your strumming hand will naturally play the way it needs to. So that is how you play with feel. Even if you don't know any theory, groove, dynamics, and emotion, if you focus on these three things, you're going to sound so much more musical no matter what chords you're playing. So we'll leave it there for today, guys. Thanks again for joining me. I hope today brought you some value. If it did at all, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button for me, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.